Hey guys, so I have absolutely no plan for today's practice, but I wanted to have a study break and thought I'd take you guys along for the ride. So probably going to be doing some back bends just because my back is killing me, and we'll see where it goes from there. So hopefully you enjoy today. We'll go ahead and start in child's pose. So knees down and wide, hips reaching back towards your heels. Just resting your forehead on the mat and stretching your arms out really long. Tenting your fingertips and pulling your arms out as far as they'll go, and then releasing onto the mat. Taking a moment to settle into your space here and to feel through your back body, really releasing through your upper back. And then bringing some deep breaths into this space. And looking forward, we'll start to scoop our way towards cobra pose, just like last week. So just really slowly exaggerating this movement, bringing your chest close to the ground and then scooping it through your hands. Once you reach through your hands, planting your hips and your feet onto the mat and pushing up with your palms, pulling your chest through to cobra pose. And on your exhale, lifting your hips up and back and then finding your way back into child's pose. So we did this one last week. Inhaling, pulling your chest through, keeping it low to the ground, and then rising up, pushing through your palms and through the tops of your feet into cobra. And then exhaling, pushing your hips back into child's pose. So a few more rounds of that at your own pace, and what I'll say is to just close your eyes and really feel into your spine and start to observe just kind of how you feel. And you don't have to have any positive or negative connotations with that. We're just getting into this space today, noticing where our body is at, what feels good and what doesn't feel good. A few more rounds, really just waking up our spines. And the reason I'm stressing this today is I did have somebody ask me the correct way to do this transition. And the answer is there is no correct way. Really everything that we're doing is to get information about our bodies, to understand where we are, and to understand what our current physicality is. It doesn't have to be a good thing or a bad thing. And sitting back to your heels, you can rise up this time, so just seated on your heels, bringing your arms up and overhead, palms to touch, and then releasing your right arm down to the mat, reaching your left arm up and over towards the right side. Long spine, feeling a nice deep stretch to the left side of the body. Then inhaling, both arms up and overhead. Exhaling, left hand to the mat. Right arm reaches towards the left. Long side waist. This time inhaling, both arms up and overhead and cactusing your arms out towards the side, bringing your elbows towards your hips. And then interlacing your hands behind your back. We'll bring our I'll show you from the back, bringing your palms towards the outside of your right hip. So interlacing, bringing your fist to the outside of your right hip. And from there, we'll just bring our right ear towards our right shoulder. And just rocking forwards and backwards with our head here, getting into our neck a little bit. And trying to keep our right elbow facing directly behind us. Don't let it zip out towards the right. And then switching position. Inhaling, bringing your arms back behind you and extending them far with your hands interlaced, pulling your chest through. And then exhaling towards the left, finding the other side of that same pose, rolling through your neck. And a lot of times, like when you're doing your yoga practice, it can be really nice to just shut your eyes and feel your body. Like You don't have to overanalyze poses and compare yourself to people. It's honestly all about information, I guess. Just being inquisitive about your body and your space. Releasing your hands down towards your thighs and then crawling them out. We'll get into a tabletop position. So hands under shoulders and knees under hips. We'll do a few cat-cows here really intentionally. So on your inhale, arching your back to rise your tailbone towards the sky and your chest through your upper arms, lifting your chin just a bit. And on your exhale, rounding your spine, tucking your tailbone down and rounding all the way up through your upper back, trying to get all the way to the base of the neck. On your inhale, reversing that movement by starting at the tailbone. So rising your tailbone up towards the sky and then your chest and head follows. And then moving from the tailbone again, tucking your tailbone on the exhale into cat, curling through the spine. One more just like that. So inhaling nice and slow into cow, exhaling into cat. And then start to get a little jiggy with it. So just like twisting your hips around in space, going left to right. You can add some barrel rolls. But again, I'm just gonna say close your eyes and just feel it. Feel all those nooks and crannies of your spine that we never really get into and that get really stiff when we sit all day. And notice all the little cracks and pops in your hips and in your back, and just be aware of it. Enjoy it. It feels so good when you just start to notice what your body likes. And coming into child's pose, we'll stretch our fingertips out long in front of us again, and then looking forwards, pulling through, this time to upward dog. So rising off of our thighs, pushing our tops of our feet and our palms firmly into the mat, and then pulling our chest up and through, engaging our glutes. On your exhale, scooping back into downward facing dog. So feet about hips width, bending at the knees, pushing through the palms, long spine, and pulling your tailbone up towards the sky, engaging your lower abs. And then rolling forwards into plank pose. Staying here for a moment and start to engage your hands. So really root the base of your first finger, right at the knuckle, your pointer finger. Root that into the mat on both hands, and then from there go down to the base of your thumb and really root the base of your thumb in. Then bring the energy towards the outside of your hand, so towards your pinky side, rooting through the base of your pinky, and then connecting that all the way back to the base of your pointer finger. Start to feel really engaged through your hands, keeping your fingers at just a normal distance from each other. Nothing too extreme, not too wide, not too clenched. Just a normal hand position. And then we'll go through a slow push-up. So on the count of 5, we'll lower, keeping our elbows in towards our body. 4, 3, 2, 1, and then rising on our inhale. Dropping your knees, sitting back to your heels, this time keeping your toes tucked. Rising your arms up and overhead, interlacing your hands at the top, and then reaching your palms towards the ceiling. On your exhale, rounding your spine, bringing your arms out in front of you. Inhaling, arms up and overhead. Exhaling, arms out in front of you. Dropping your hands right behind your toes, about 6 inches behind your feet, and then pushing into your hands and into your knees, rising your hips up just a little bit, bringing a slight back bend into this space, and then releasing your tush back to your heels, crawling forwards into plank pose. Taking one more slow push-up on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rising. Pushing your hips back to downward facing dog. This time on your inhale, rising your right leg up to the sky. On your exhale, bending through both knees, pull your right knee into your chest And then shoot off of your left toes, bringing your right foot outside of your right hand. Drop your back knee, spin open towards the right, and grab your left foot behind you. Take a moment to sink into this space. So kicking your left foot into your right hand and pulling your foot with your hand at the same time. Sinking through your left hip, really feeling the front of your hip here. But keeping your shoulders tall, keeping the space from your left hip to your left armpit nice and long. And then releasing from here, sinking back into half splits. A long spine over your right leg. And just breathing through your right hamstring. Rising back into this lizard position. And then dropping your left top of your foot to the mat. Inhaling your arms up and overhead. And start to bring a small back bend into your lunge. Pushing your left hip forward, pulling your right hip back. And then dropping both hands back to the mat, rising off of your left knee and lifting your hips up and back to extended pyramid. Again, just sinking long spine over your right leg. And then walking your hands forward just a little bit above your toes. We'll bend into our right knee as we step our left foot forward. But before you land it, curl your left knee in towards your nose and then extend it out behind you. And then curling back in towards your nose, extending back. A few more like that, curling in, extending out. Curl in and out. And this time as you curl in, dropping your left foot right by your right foot. Inhaling to a halfway lift, long spine, hands find your shins. Exhaling, folding forward. Inhaling, rising to stand, arms up and overhead, palms touch. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling, arms nice and wide out and overhead. Exhaling, folding forward, deep bend in your knees, gluing your torso to your thighs. On your inhale, long spine, halfway lift, rising up. Exhaling, dropping your hands back to the mat, stepping back into a plank position, and then a slow push-up. Once you get through your push-up, dropping your knees and your forearms, and then pulling your chest through to upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing. Take a moment here, just sitting in your dog and starting to really extend through your spine, really pushing through your palms, grounding your hand down at all those corners that we just worked on. Extending through your shoulders, lifting your butt up towards the sky, slight engagement of your lower abs. And then inhaling, rising your left leg up to the sky, bending through both knees, bringing your left knee in towards your chest and shooting off of your right toes, bringing your left foot outside of your left hand. Dropping your back knee open towards the left, reaching back for your right foot and sinking into twisted lizard here. Opening your chest up towards the left and kicking your foot into your hand while you pull your hand against your foot. Exhaling, releasing. Sinking back into half splits, long spine over your left leg. Nice and deep breaths here, just warming up the body. And bringing your weight back forwards, planting your top of your right foot on the mat, and rising your arms up and overhead, Anjaneyasana. Bringing a subtle back bend here, nothing crazy. Pushing your right hip forward, pulling your left hip back. And then releasing your hands towards the mat. Rising off your back knee into extended pyramid. And crawling your fingertips just a little bit in front of your left toes. And we'll step forwards, doing our bent knee extensions a few times. So bending into your left knee, rising into this warrior 3 variation, and then pulling your right knee in towards your nose to touch, and then extending back behind you. Inhaling, pulling in, exhaling, extending. Inhale, pull in, exhale, extend. Inhale, pull in, exhale, extend. And this time inhaling, pulling in, and then stepping your right foot right by your left. Rising up, arms out wide and up overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling again, up and overhead. Exhaling, bending your knees and folding over your legs. Torso finds your thighs. Rising on your inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling, hands to the mat, stepping back to plank pose. Nice slow push up on your exhale. Dropping your knees and your forearms, and then pulling your chest through to upward facing dog. Exhaling, rolling back, downward dog. Again, taking a moment in your downward dog. Just a moment of stillness. Try not to be too wiggly. Breathing into your back body. Inhaling your right leg to the sky, and then as you will plant the left outer foot. We're going to side plank. I don't know how to say that, but shifting onto your left side into side plank, arm overhead. And you can take any variation of side plank, so you can be your feet stacked on top of each other. You can have your knee in towards your chest. Maybe even hook your toe with your peace fingers and stretch your leg up above your hip. You can do that without your arm. Really just play with this space. You can flip if you want to flip and get a little back bend here into flip dog. Just finding what feels good though. And then rolling over, planting your right hand, and we'll bring the outside of our left foot right by our left wrist, but don't plant it. That's just where we want it to go. And we're gonna shoot it out all the way towards the left until our right hip lands on the mat. Should be a deep IT band stretch on your right side. So you can stay here, staying nice and tall, and you might not have your hip on the ground. You might be elevated. That's totally normal. Just staying in this space. If you want to go deeper, you can maybe reach towards the right side of the mat, trying to bring your chest down. Actually, maybe reaching towards the left would feel better. I'm not really sure, but just play around is the point. And then rising back into three-legged dog, right leg overhead. And then shooting it forward, bringing your foot in between your hands and rising into double bent leg lunge. Bringing your hands to your hips, tucking your tailbone and noticing if your pelvis is in a neutral position. Then shooting your back leg as straight as it can go, keeping your pelvis in this neutral position. On your inhale, shooting forwards into a crouching warrior 3. Left leg elevated behind us, right knee deeply bent. Then interlace your fingers and push your palms against your right upper thigh as you straighten through the right leg. Finding your variation of warrior 3. Your arms can be at your heart. They can be extended behind you. They can be by your ears and towards the front of the room. And then we're gonna come to a standing balance. So bring your left knee in towards your chest from there and just hug it into your chest. We'll come into eagle pose. So wrapping your left knee around your right leg. I'll show you from this view. You can wrap your left leg and just plant your toes on the mat, or you can try and do the full double bind. It doesn't really matter. Whatever feels okay. Once you get that, you'll grab, so left leg over, so left leg goes, or left arm goes under in your arm wrap. Finding eagle pose, and just trying to keep your eyes focused on one spot ahead of you. I know that's hard with your arms in the way, but that will help you balance. And with your arms, try and really push your elbows forwards and upwards. Get a nice upper back stretch. And really compressing through your legs and your arms, twisting as tightly as you can, and releasing. Inhaling your arms up and overhead. Exhaling, folding over your legs. Inhaling, halfway lift. And exhaling, stepping back to plank. Coming through a push-up. Knees and forearms will drop. And pulling through to upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward dog. Inhaling, rising your left leg to the sky and shifting towards your right side into side plank. Whatever variation you did on the first side, trying to keep some aspect of symmetry in our practice. So maybe you extended your leg overhead, maybe you didn't. Maybe you stepped over into flip dog, maybe you didn't. And then swiveling back, dropping your left hand to the mat, bringing your left foot right by your right wrist, and then shooting your foot out towards the right. Dropping your left hip as deep as you can go. And trying to keep your spine long, your chest pulling through your arms here. And then releasing, rising back into three-legged dog. And then pulling your left foot in between your hands and rising into double bent leg lunge. Again, bringing your hands to your hips, checking your pelvis, checking that you have a neutral position, and then straightening through your back leg, trying to keep your hips squared forwards. Bringing hands to chest, bending into your left knee, and shooting forwards into a crouching warrior. Interlacing your palms at the top of your left thigh and pushing into your thigh as you straighten it into warrior three. Whatever variation with your arms you like. Inhaling here and exhaling, bending your right knee in towards your chest and wrapping your right leg over your left into eagle. That will be right arm under left. Focusing on one point ahead of you and really twisting through your arms, pushing your palms against each other, pulling your elbows out and up while trying to keep your shoulders over your hips. I say that and I have no idea what I look like right now, but that's what I'm aiming for at least. Releasing your legs, arms up and overhead, and exhaling, folding over your legs into forward fold, and we'll stay here for a moment. Get a nice wide stance with your legs and grab opposite arm to opposite elbow into ragdoll position, with really letting your head and neck hang and be heavy. Deep bend in your knees so that your abdomen is glued to your thighs. You can stay here, or you can maybe bring your hands underneath your feet. Pushing your toes into your wrists, bringing a little weight forwards into the balls of your feet. Get a little wrist relief here. Rising halfway along the spine, exhaling hands to the mat. Stepping back into downward dog. This time as we roll forwards into plank, we're gonna drop our hips into an upward dog, keeping our toes tucked. So dropping your hips, really engaging through your glutes to protect your lower back, pulling your chest through. And from your upward dog, drop your chest into chaturanga, so into the low push-up. Then rise to a high push-up. Then we'll drop our knees and our forearms and pull through to upward facing. Exhaling, downward dog. Inhaling, right leg to the sky and shifting towards the left side, plank, whatever variation you want this time. Breathing into your body, lifting your hips up. And shifting back, so right arm reaches down. This time as you shoot your right leg out towards the left, maybe drop the knife side edge of your foot, spin over onto your left heel, and rise your hips and your left arm up towards the sky into fallen star. Maybe it's fallen angel, I don't remember. And then dropping your left hand back to the mat. We'll inhale into three-legged dog. Exhaling your right foot in between your hands. And drop your back knee this time. Rising your arms up and overhead, Anjaneyasana, pulling your chest through. And then bringing your hands towards your knee, pushing into your thigh, and rising into, so that your hips are level over your left knee. From here, we'll keep this position and slowly, literally lift your left knee a centimeter off the mat. Then maybe rise your arms up and overhead and shake. And then push your left heel towards the back of the room. Straightening through your left leg, but keeping your hips where they were. Nice work, that's really hard. And then shifting forward, trying not to bounce off your left foot, but really try and slowly rise it towards the ceiling into crouching warrior. Rising then again into your warrior 3, whatever position you did with your arms. And then bringing your left knee in towards your chest. This time we'll take a hold of our left foot with our left hand. So twisting your left hand to face the left side of the room. Grab the inside of your left foot. We'll do dancer's pose today. So we'll line our knees up here, so keep your knees together. Bringing your right arm up overhead. And as you start to lean forward, kick your left foot into your left hand. As you lean forward just a bit, bringing your right arm out in front of you, and focus your gaze on a spot in front of you. Thinking about kicking your left foot into your left hand. And breathing here for 3, 2, 1. Releasing, pulling your left knee back into your chest and wrapping into eagle pose. Left leg over right, left arm under right. Again, twisting as deep as you can. This time as you release just your legs, but keep your arms twisted. And slowly bend into your right knee as you shoot your left foot back towards the back of the mat. As slowly as you can, try and find a high crescent lunge with your arms in eagle. So bringing your elbows up towards the sky, bringing a small back bend here. And then releasing your arms up and overhead towards the space behind you. Exhaling, hands to the mat. Three-legged dog. This time bending into your left knee. And keeping your right leg lifted, pull your chest through three-legged to upward facing dog, dropping both feet to the mat. Exhaling through downward facing. See if I can remember that. So we'll inhale our left leg to the sky. Exhale, roll into side plank on the right. Whatever variation you liked. Inhaling here. And exhaling, bringing your left hand towards the mat. And shifting so that your left foot shoots out towards the right, dropping the knife side edge of your left foot, and then spinning onto your right heel, spinning your hips and your chest open. Right arm is lifted into fallen star / angel. And then exhaling, hand back to the mat, rising into three-legged dog. And shooting your knee forward, bringing your left foot between your hands, dropping your back knee and rising. Arms up and overhead, Anjaneyasana. Exhaling, hands to the top of your thigh, shifting your hips back so that you're nice and level, bringing that neutral pelvis position. Tucking your right toes, lifting your back knee 1 centimeter off the mat. Inhaling your arms up and overhead, feeling the burn. And then stretching into your right leg, bringing your right heel towards the back of the mat, keeping your pelvis neutral. Bending into your left knee will shoot forwards into crouching warrior, rising your right heel towards the sky, and straightening through the left leg, warrior 3. Arms wherever you want. Inhaling and exhaling, pulling your right knee into your chest. And then we'll grab the inside of our right foot with our right hand, kicking into our right foot, left arm overhead, and starts to reach forward as we bend forward. Keeping your focus on the right foot, kicking into the right hand. Your gaze out in front of you. And breathing and smiling. Exhaling, releasing. Again, bringing your right knee to your chest and then wrapping right leg over left. Maybe finding the bind. Right arm under left. Eagle pose. Inhaling. And exhaling, just rising, just unwrapping your legs, bending through your left knee, and shooting your right foot towards the back of the mat into high lunge. Again, bringing your elbows towards the sky, bending through your back, and then releasing your arms. Palms meet and reaching towards the back of the room, finding a back bend. Exhaling, releasing, hands to the mat, rising, three-legged dog, bending at the right knee, three-legged pull through to upward facing dog. Exhaling, child's pose. Again, crawling your fingers out in front of you, dropping your forehead to the mat. I'm not going to because the mic noise will be bad. But really sink into this space and take a moment breathe, to reconnect with yourself, to let go of any of your negative or positive feelings about your body, about your practice. Recenter with your breath. One more deep inhale. And exhale. Opening your eyes, looking forward, inhaling your chest low to the ground, pulling through to upward facing dog. Exhaling, sinking back to child's pose. One more inhale, pulling through to upward facing. Exhaling, this time tucking the toes, hips up and back, downward dog. Inhaling, right leg lifts. And exhale, pull it through, right between your hands. Spinning your back heel down to the mat, keeping your left foot at a 45-degree angle towards the top of the mat and rising into warrior two. Taking a moment here to get settled. Looking back at your left foot, grounding your left heel, your left big toe, your left pinky toe into the mat, and pulling that energy up through the inner and outer leg. Strong back leg. And then looking forward, can you bend a little bit deeper? Shifting a little bit more weight towards the front of the room. Then looking at your right fingertips. Can you draw a long line from your right fingertips to your chest, to your left fingertips? Looking back at your right knee, can you sink a little deeper? Looking back at your left foot, can you engage through your foot more? Can you engage through your left inner groin? One more inhale. On your exhale, dropping both hands to frame the front foot. And we'll shift into a side plank again on the left side. This time extending your extending your right foot out and your right arm in front of you. And then we'll pull our knee and our elbow in to touch at the top. Exhaling, extending out. Inhaling, pulling in. Exhaling, extending. Inhaling, pulling in. Exhaling, extending. This time keeping your right arm lifted, pull your knee in towards your chest. We'll swivel onto our left toes and try and slowly as you can, step your left foot by your right foot by your left hand. Swiveling your left heel back down, so warrior two stance, but rising into side angle. So try and bring your right fingertips in front of your right toes, and then twisting your chest open towards the left. Rise your left arm overhead so that your palm is facing down and spinning, or you're stretching out in front of you. On your inhale, rising into warrior two and extending your left arm towards your back leg. Right arm overhead, reverse warrior. Straightening into your right leg. And we'll find triangle pose from here. So bring your hands to your hips and shift your hips towards the back of the room. Extending your right arm long in front of you. And we're trying to reach out as far as we can. And when you can no longer reach out, drop your hand towards the mat. Twist open through the chest and rise your left arm overhead. Inhaling, long line of energy through the left side body. Exhaling, dropping both hands to the mat. Coming into downward facing dog. And then shooting forward into plank pose. Dropping the knees. Dropping the chest and the chin between your hands. And pulling through to upward facing. Exhaling, downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths here, sinking into your dog. Inhaling nice and deep through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. And exhaling. Inhaling, left leg rises. On your exhale, pulling it through between your hands, spinning your right heel down, warrior two, rising up with your body. finding your space here, lining your feet up, whatever feels normal to you. Once you're comfortable or semi-comfortable, look towards your back foot. Can you ground through your back heel, your right big toe, your right pinky toe? Can you pull energy up through your leg, activating through your right leg? Then looking towards the front, can you sink a little deeper into your left knee? Bringing your attention then to your fingertips, your front fingertips. Can you draw a nice long line from left fingers to right fingers? Looking back towards your left knee, can you sink a little deeper? And then again towards your back foot. Can you engage again through your big toe? Can you engage through your inner groin? Inhaling. And exhaling, dropping both hands to the mat. Coming into side plank on the right. Extending left leg out and left arm overhead and reaching forwards. Inhaling, touching your knee and your elbow together over your hip. Exhaling, extending. Inhaling, crunch. Exhale, extend. Inhale, crunch. Exhale, extend. Inhale together. Exhale, apart. And last one, inhale. And exhale. So bringing your left knee in towards your chest. Try and slowly step your left foot by your right hand. It's okay if you're wobbly and it's okay if you can't do it. That's normal. Spinning your feet into warrior two position. Left fingertips out in front of your toes. Right arm up and overhead. Long spine. Nice and extended here. And then inhaling, rising into warrior two and reversing. Bringing your left arm overhead. Straightening through your front leg, bringing your hands to your hips. Shift your hips towards your right side, like towards the back of the mat. Bringing your left arm out in front of you, stretching forwards as you bend at your hips. And then releasing your left hand to the mat, finding triangle pose. Right arm overhead. Exhaling, both hands find the mat. Stepping back, downward facing. And shooting forward to plank, our last vinyasa, I promise. Dropping your knees, your chest and your chin. Then pulling through to upward facing dog. Exhaling, sitting back onto your heels, rising your body up, long spine. And just rolling through your neck here, close your eyes down. Keeping your shoulders elevated over your hips. Just rolling your head around. Coming back to the space that we started in at the beginning of class. Inhaling our arms up and overhead. Exhaling, interlacing fingertips. Palms reach towards the ceiling. Curling our spine as we reach our hands forward. Inhaling, arching up and overhead. Exhaling, curling forwards. Inhaling up and overhead. We'll spin our butt down, bring our legs out in front of us. And we'll just do a couple stretches here. So extending right leg out and bringing your left foot to the inside of your right inner thigh. Inhaling your arms up and overhead. We'll extend over our right leg, trying to bring our hands towards our right foot, but keeping our torso glued to our thighs. So don't round your back too much here. If you have to bend your knee, that's okay. Start to find the lines of tension in your body that feel good and sink into them. Bringing some nice, long, slow breaths. Bringing our mind inward. And rising out of this space, we'll bring our left arm, our left hand, right by our left hip. And planting our lefts and rights are so hard. Planting your left knee into the mat, we'll bring our hips up, lift our hips up, and extend our right arm back behind us. Just finding a little back bend here. And then releasing back to the mat and switching sides. So bringing your left leg out, right foot finds inside of your left leg. Arms up and overhead, and then maybe with a deep bend in your knee, glue your torso towards your thigh, and then slowly walk your heel out. Releasing completely, totally melting into your leg here, finding maybe your hamstring, maybe your back, your hips. And just bringing the breath into those areas. And by that, I mean really, as you breathe in, focus on the lines of tension and imagine that you're bringing the breath into those areas to expand them. On your next inhale, rising, bringing your right hand by your right hip, pushing into your right knee and your right hand, and rising your hips up. Left arm overhead. Exhaling, releasing. Spinning your legs back in front of you. We'll find diamond pose before we start to lay down. So bringing your feet into a butterfly position and a little bit further out than you would normally go. We'll sink our forehead towards our feet here, so it can be a really deep outer hip stretch, at least for me. But try and relax your forehead into the arches of your feet. If that's not possible, put a block or something on your feet. Or just find a comfortable place here to just sink. And breathe. Inhaling, rising up, bringing your knees up, grabbing onto the backs of your knees, and we'll slowly sink our body down towards the mat, rolling down one vertebrae at a time. Tucking our shoulder blades underneath, bringing your knees into your chest, and we'll find a happy baby today. Extending your feet overhead, keeping a bend in your knees, grab the outsides of your feet and try and bring your knees towards your armpits. Keeping your lower back somewhat rooted to the floor. And from here, we'll go into plow pose before Shavasana. So you can come with me, you can stay here, or you can just do what you want to do. But what I'm gonna go for is plow. So I'm bringing my feet over my head. I'm lifting my hips up until my feet touch the floor behind me. So my hands are on my lower back supporting me until my feet touch the mat. Once you get there, you can bend your knees deeply, bringing them outside of your ears. And you can play with this space here, so you can try and maybe bring your hands to grab onto your heels or onto the backs of your Achilles tendons. Finding a fold at the hips, so really bringing your thighs in towards your abdomen. Long spine. And from plow, whenever you're ready, you can slowly release your legs down into Shavasana. So just slowly rolling your spine one vertebra at a time. And when you get there, sinking your shoulder blades back underneath you, palms facing up. Taking a deep inhale and a long exhale. One more just like that. Inhaling, full body. And exhaling completely. Staying here for as long as you'd like. It's really nice to bring a long Shavasana into your practice at least every once in a while. So if you have the time to lay around and be content, that sounds really nice right now. Otherwise, just coming up whenever you're ready. That was fun. It was kind of nice not to have a plan for today, but hopefully it was well received. Thank you guys for joining me. Namaste.